Next up, sticking in someone in the same world, I'm very happy to give the word to Sander Duivstein, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, who will talk about real fake and how playing, or what does it mean playing with reality in the age of deepfakes, AI, and the metaverse. Are you able to connect correctly, Sander?
Yes, but I need to check myself. Yes.
We also can play it from the back. It's up to you.
No, it's fine like this.
All right. Go
ahead. Good afternoon. I have 75 slides. I have a half-hour battery left, and I have a half-hour to talk, so it will be fast. My last name is Duivstein. It means pigeon castle in English, and that's why I've put on this photo of a pigeon who's in VR. It doesn't exist. It's totally fake. And that's what I'm going to talk about. For the last 3 years ago, me and my colleagues, we work for Society, part of the Innovation Institute, and we've basically talked about real fakes, deep fakes, deep nudes, all those kind of things, and we told ourselves we were going to write a book. And we published it last October, on the 15th of October, and on the 26th of October, Mark Zuckerberg announced Meta. So that was quite a nice promotion campaign. One of the things we noticed 2.5 years, that everything was accelerating. And basically because of Corona, what we have planned for 2030 already happened in 2020. And the other thing we noticed is screenification of the world. I never used Microsoft Teams before. And because of Corona, it's still the tool I use every day nowadays. And this has changed our view on the world, our view on reality. And I want to tell a positive story, but if you look at what happened for the last couple of years, deepfake, deep nudes, fake news, conspiracy theories, and this is, I think this is the best conspiracy theory of all times. Birds aren't real, I'm a supporter of it. A student from the United States had the idea, well, I'm going to make a joke, a meme, that birds don't exist and they are all drones governed by the United States government. And nowadays, hundreds of thousands of people really believe in it. So funny and also kind of scary. Last week, this happened in the Netherlands. One of our biggest politicians, Thierry Baudet, told this.
I believe that we are being governed by a global conspiracy of evil reptiles. My view is that the only global player who is opposing that is Vladimir Putin. He is the hero we need. Yeah, it's weird that I'm always the only one who says these things.
So this is the final promotion campaign for the Netherlands. But the interesting thing is the idea of conspiracy theories, and that we are basically thinking differently about reality nowadays. When the war in Ukraine started, people started viewing it on TikTok. Some people even call it the TikTok war. And I want to show you a small movie about the first day of the invasion by the Russians.
Снимаю, братуха! Блядь, чуть-чуть высоковато, ёбаный рот.
27 million people watched this on TikTok, the first day of the invasion. And after a few days, we found out that it was an old movie. It was already posted 2 years ago on Instagram. Playing with reality. And even Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, had something to say about reality.
Украина в ваших новостях и Украина в реальной жизни – это две совершенно разные страны. И главное, их отличие в том, что наше настоящее.
We now have different realities. And you might have to ask yourself, what you're now seeing, is it Zelensky or is it the deepfake? Try to find it out on the internet. Last week, Joe Rogan interviewed Steve Jobs. This is how it sounded.
I've been a fan of yours, Macintosh, since the 1980s.
Well, you know, we just kind of figured that out. even though Apple is big, it's still like 0.5% of the total users. People who listen to your show are a different group. They're weird.
Now you know it's fake, but again, playing with reality. And it immediately asks, it starts all kinds of ethical questions. What about privacy if we are playing with reality? On the one hand, we see the screens reacting on a woman, on her body, she might buy it. On the other hand, do we want all these kind of ads, yes or no? So bad things are going to happen when the metaverse starts popping up. But as I already said, I'm not going to talk about the bad things. I want to dive into the good things. But remember, it's all about playing with reality. A couple of months ago, the Bear Paddington visited the Queen. The next day, she was sitting as a hologram in her coach. Even Zelensky is nowadays visiting all kinds of conferences as a hologram. And you might have seen America's Got Talent, where they used real-time deepfake technology.
Act like an angel. Talk like an angel. But I got one. You're the devil in disguise.
Deepfakes, it only started in 2017. Nowadays, we can use 4 cameras on stage to use real-time technology to deepfake them. And in the next couple of years, it will be just on your smartphone. And I'm showing you all these examples to make a point. If I look in the room, we are already too old. Generation Z and Generation Alpha, they've been growing up with all these kind of new technologies. They are aware of Minecraft, Fortnite, Roblox. They are playing with all kinds of filters on Instagram and Snapchat. And they have a complete different behavior.
I don't Google anymore on TikTok. I want to buy a new face mist, a new face product. TikTok, not sure how to cook something. TikTok, like why would I Google something? And I can go on TikTok, watch a 15-second video, gives me the full lowdown on how to make something, if something is good, how to use something. I get like a little visual of it, and it's literally so easy. Please tell me I'm not the only one.
I still use Google, but my daughters, they are 16 and 18 years old. They only use TikTok when they have to cook something in the evening. They just look up a recipe on TikTok, 30 seconds, they watch it and they can cook. Why should they read long stories? So different kind of attitude. And these are 24 icons, 24 brands, 24 internet companies, 24 games, 24 memes. How many of them do you know? 6, 12, 18, or 24? Most people don't know more than 12. And again, it means you're old. Young people always use the smartphone. These are bills at a baseball game. They've paid quite a lot of money to be at the game, but the only thing they are watching is themselves. And we're laughing about it, we're making fun of it. But 15 years ago, nobody had a smartphone at a game of Tiger Woods. And nowadays, if you look how we are using the camera, it's always between reality and ourselves. Always the screen. So you might wonder, all these kind of new technologies, do they make us smarter or dumber?
Look at this and tell me what time it is.
Oh, no. No, I can't. It is 4:37. Then okay. It's 2. Well, I want to say 40. No, not 45.
Chris, let me ask you this. Where do you go to college?
UC Arlington.
You want to say anything to your teachers back in college?
Not at all, because they're going to be so disappointed that I have not read a class like this since elementary school. Let me see. Okay.
Oh man, it is 8:10, 8:20, 8:17. No.
AM or PM?
And again, we are laughing about it, but are they dumb or is it just smart? Do they have to read books, or can they ask just something on TikTok or ask Apple Siri? Totally different interface. Point I'm trying to make is that for them, internet culture is immersive. They have been grown up in internet culture, and this has changed the way we view our world. I can still remember 9/11. I came back from the hospital with my father in a car. We listened to the radio, and we heard about the plane entering the World Trade Center. These are collective memories we still have. This was the way we shared culture, monoculture, by using television. Nowadays, if you look how we are sharing culture, it isn't about monoculture anymore. All kinds of cultures are popping up. It's all tagged by using a meme, a hashtag, different kind of communicating, different kind of messages. It's all about polarization, all about fragmentation. And even what I think is most exciting, these kind of examples. There's no sound, that's funny. There should be sound. The sound was turned off when this was broadcasted live, and a couple of hours after this event happened, people started creating their own realities. A clay puppet in virtual reality, a cartoon. That was the way this news was, well, transferred on the internet. And the point I'm also trying to make is everything is happening all at once nowadays.
So I've just been thinking how literally nothing is trending right now because everything is trending.
I have wanted to talk about this for such a long time. TikTok has literally accelerated everything. Like it has accelerated everything, especially how we consume trends, how we consume posts. Anyways, because now that we have an eye on what people are doing so frequently and so constantly, it's accelerated how quickly we want to move on to the next thing. If we move so quickly, everything exists at once.
Everything is trending at once. And this is the model we're now entering. It used to be the page. We had we linked documents by using the page rank of Google, the social graph, linking people, and now it's all about the interest graph. The algorithm behind TikTok and Twitter, they know exactly what you want. So everything is looking nowadays like TikTok. And this new kind of technology, these new kind of algorithms, we talked about it in our book, and we saw different kind of behavior in Generation Z and Generation Alpha. And we learned some new things. One of the first rules or laws of this book is that fake is the new real. You see this lady standing in front of a pink wall. It's the wall of the Paul Smith shop in Hollywood. Nowadays, young people travel to Hollywood to make a picture just in front of this wall because their online status is more important than their offline profile. And even the neighborhood reacted a couple of weeks ago, go fuck yourself with your selfie. So they don't like it, but different behavior. Online is more important than offline. Young people feel more comfortable online than offline. And they use it to create all kinds of new stuff. CGI influencers. Lila Michela, 19 years old, Brazilian, United States parents, all kinds of big brands promote her. She also makes her own music. You can listen to it on Spotify, but she doesn't exist. Virtual YouTubers like Code Miku, Japanese girl. She has a phone in front of her face to take a picture of her micro expressions. She wears a suit with all kinds of sensors, and in real time she's rendered like this figure. And you see text on her chest. That's the way she earns money. People can buy into it. This is the old Code Miku. This is the new one. And again, it becomes hyper-realistic. Different kind of realities. Samsung is thinking about neons, virtual humans that can take over certain jobs. A doctor, an architect, a teacher. Snoop Dogg released this movie, or released this clip last week, where he used the technology of meta-human. He became a virtual human and he overfied himself. He sang a new song with Tupac, who has been dead for a couple of years now. Last week, I played with myself in a box. I created a hologram, quite easy. So it all makes one point. Online identity becomes the new social currency. How you look and feel online becomes more and more important. And the funny thing is, if you start looking at these new kind of technologies, you see a new kind of step happening in the way we experience media. Analog media, the first printing press, newspapers, books, electronic media, radio, television, telephone, digital media, social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and now we see the upcoming of synthetic media. And the impact of synthetic media will be bigger than the impact of social media. So you have to invest your time and energy in it, because fake will become a new real. And the era of generative AI is exploding nowadays. And this synthetic media, what is it?
Synthetic media is a catch-all term for media, such as images,
sound, text, video, and virtual experiences
Are a combination of synthesized pieces of information
that is either manipulated or wholly generated by artificial intelligence.
I bought these 4 people on Synthesia. They are completely artificially created. It costs $30 a month. You can just put in some text. It immediately generates these kind of people. This painting, it won a prize in an artist competition a couple of months ago, and then hell broke loose because it was generated by Midjourney, by a prompt. So what is art?
How do you produce art, and how is this different to what human artists produce?
I produce my paintings by cameras in my eyes, my AI algorithms, and my robotic arm to paint on canvas. I am and depend on computer programs and algorithms. Although not alive, I can still create art.
AI creates art, and people are now using AI to create new kinds of art. They're just prompting it. These are just hyper-realistic people, but even paintings. The girl with the pearl ring. Yeah, I hope so. Well, the battery is still functioning, so let's continue. This movie, you already saw it, but I added on it. It's not just for static images, but you can easily manipulate moving images. And even these kind of things, this happened yesterday. You can remove objects and completely replace them. And everybody can do it. Everybody can create these kind of things by using AI. Creating movies by just prompting, or even creating complete virtual environments by using stable diffusion. This is how the metaverse will be created in the near future, by just using AI. AI to create stuff and to immediately buy it. It's that easy. And we call it the Hollywood to the home effect. This kind of technology used to be in the hands of big Hollywood companies. It cost millions of dollars to produce a movie like Jurassic Park. I can do it at home, and it doesn't cost a thing. And it all starts with TikTok again. Young people are playing with AI, with filters, and are creating their own kinds of movies. And it started with little dances, but it's way more than just funny things. It's education. Look, for example, at this girl, Kat Norton. She calls herself Miss Excel. On TikTok, she makes 30-second movies where she explains a certain functionality on TikTok of Excel. She earns about $100,000 a day by just using the TikTok platform. So that's why young people don't want to become an astronaut or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg anymore. They want to become the next YouTuber, the next influencer, the next creator. And again, it's just speeding up. I talked a little bit about synthetic media, but we've been talking about NFTs this day, and about ownership. You can't only create it, but you can own digital stuff nowadays. The famous Gucci bag, it has been sold in Roblox to an avatar. The avatar paid more than $4,000 for it, while the physical Gucci bag cost $3,400 in a physical store. So the second law of our book, fake will become more worth than the real thing. So NFTs, not going to talk very long about it, but basically what we've done, we've copied the whole laws, the scarcity of our physical world into the digital world. So all kinds of new business models start popping up, all based on Web 3.0. And that's exciting, because Web 3.0 will be the underlying protocol, the underlying infrastructure of the upcoming metaverse. And the metaverse, we've been talking about this several times this day, but there are basically three kinds of metaverses. It's the consumer metaverse, it's Fortnite, Roblox, Minecraft. It's the corporate metaverse, where nowadays Facebook wants to become a big part of it, where you go to a workroom, where you can communicate with your colleagues. And we have the industrial metaverse, where we have all these kind of digital twins, simulations of industrial environments. And every week, this is my avatar on the right, every week I have these meetings with my colleagues in Facebook workrooms. And the funny thing is, it's different than Microsoft Teams, because I have the feeling that I'm really going there, that I'm sharing a virtual space with my colleagues. I can almost touch them. The spatial sound around me is completely different. It's the embodiment of the internet. And we're not going to web pages anymore, but we are going to places. We saw it in Decentraland. It was just one place. And if we are going to do this, then we become media ourselves. The rapid rapper Scott couldn't perform during Corona, so he performed in Fortnite for 12 minutes. 27 million people watched it. I've never been to a concert with 27 million people, but now it's just possible by scaling it up. And this is my avatar with the red cross in front of it. Every time I watch it, I get goosebumps, and I still have basically digital memories about this event. And Mark Zuckerberg, when he announced the new Meta, he talked about 1.5 hours. I've compiled his speech into 20 seconds. This is the most important message he had.
Experiences, experience, 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 experience.
It's all about experiences, and it's not just for young people. It's also for old people. ABBA, the famous Swedish pop group, over 70 years old. Last year they released their last album, but they're too old to travel. They can't perform anymore. So they basically transform themselves into holograms. They de-oldify themselves, and they're calling themselves avatars, and they're performing in a concert hall in London. And this is how it looks like. About 2 months ago, I went there with my wife, and as soon as the curtains raise up, the funny thing is you immediately believe what's happening on stage. Fake becomes real again. You start dancing, you start singing, as if they are really there. And they are 70 years old. They are going to die eventually, but they will earn lots and lots of money even after they are dead. And that's interesting, because again, this raises all kinds of ethical questions. Can we still die in the metaverse or not? There's this mother from South Korea. She has lost her daughter when she was 6 years old to a terrible disease. And a couple of years ago, she has recreated her daughter in virtual space.
엄마 어디 있었어? 엄마 몇 살이렇게 했어? 엄마 많이 보고 싶었어.
Kind of creepy, but again, nowadays you can do it yourself. Thank God. Holy smokes. She's alive.
Yeah, it brings the picture to life.
Look at that smoke. Oh, God.
Isn't it amazing that technology?
I can't believe it. Oh. Oh. It isn't her. It's her, and he's crying, and I always feel emotional when I see these kind of things. and it's just in the hands of basically everybody. Go to my own heritage and you can create these kind of movies, even on Snapchat and Instagram, you can do the same. So this metaverse, and Sophie already showed this graph, but the big point, I think, it's not about that the metaverse is on the left of this graph, but the metaverse, it will take another 10 years. It's not here at the moment. Even the demo about Decentraland, a couple of weeks ago, there was this announcement that Decentraland is worth about $1.1 billion, but there are only 33 people playing at once. And of course, Decentraland changed the number to a couple of thousand, but think about it. We're not there yet. So, but we should be happy because legs are coming in a near metaverse. So it will take a time. When I think about metaverse, and I've worried about the stories today, for me it's all like Second Life again. So think about that before you start entering the metaverse. I've talked about several things. The behavior of Generation Z and Alpha, that internet culture is the most important thing nowadays on this planet. The two laws that fake is a new real and fake is worth more than real. It all adds up. It adds up to playing with reality. And one message hasn't been created today. And I'm going to talk about it in the last couple of slides. But before I make my final point, I just want Keynote Reeves to say something.
We know what is real.
And what would reality mean when a world we can build feels as real as our own?
And the young girl was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, who cares if it's real? And I was like, but you don't care if it's real. And she was like, no.
Young people don't care what is real. We are creating new kinds of realities. Apple, it might come out next year with their augmented reality glasses, but if you look at the source code, they are already talking about a reality OS. Reality will become our next platform that we can start building on. And again, Sophie showed this picture of this movie where Mark Zuckerberg spoke with an AI and created a metaverse on the fly. And this is the one point I want to make, a final point. You're a journalist, you're talking about the future of news, and basically you're telling stories and facts, talking about facts to make a difference against fiction. But it's not about storytelling anymore. It's about creating new worlds, creating new kinds of realities. If you're a company and you're going to live in the metaverse, you have all these brands, these logos, the Twipe logo, it's 2D. Have you ever thought about how your logo would look like in the metaverse in 3D? Those kind of questions you have to start asking yourself. Virtual humans, how will your virtual human representing your company? How will you look like? Will it be he or she? What kind of skin color? What kind of accent? Will it be a furry animal or just a resemblance like a normal human being? How will the world look like if you start building it in the metaverse? How will your world or reality look like? And what will be real and what will be fake? Well, 75 slides in 29 minutes, so quite fast. Don't be afraid to experiment. Some people are scared after seeing my presentation, and I don't think you need to be scared. You have to start experimenting, find out how these new technologies might start to help you in the near future to change your own business. So if there are any questions, I'm always online. And sometimes people ask, why is there a cat in a shark costume on a robot vacuum? I have no idea. Thank you.
Thanks, Sander, for this amazing presentation. I will open questions. Sophie, a question from you first. Michael.
Hi. Great presentation. Really amazing that you keep sort of up to date with the newest things that are coming. So really enjoyable and scary and everything at the same time, inspiration. But I would like to discuss your word of the use, fake. Because is it not just another reality that is equally as okay as our physical reality?
Yes.
I think that we as mainly probably adults have an issue in recognizing that this reality is so valuable as you have shown today. So maybe the word fake is not sort of suitable to use when we are moving towards, and I actually, by the way, I agree that the metaverse is not here yet. We're talking about metaverses and meta washing at the Institute. But anyway, what's your opinion on that?
Well, thank you for your short question.
Sorry, I'm not saying
As I said, one of the rules of the book is that fake is the new real. And again, I showed you the movie from Keanu Reeves that he already expressed that for young people, alternate realities are real as well. And I think we have to start learning that kind of attitude, that we are creating new kinds of realities, new kinds of worlds that are just as real as the fake thing. So in my opinion, fake and real are basically the two same things. Well, it's in the book. The copy is yours. It's 300 pages and I could only address 75 slides. So, what a good point.
Other questions for Sander?
I guess you addressed the role of, let's say, published journalism, which is about fact checking. Joseph said as well. Do you think that it will be ever possible? I think also Sophie referred, will it be possible in the future to do fact checking? And is there a need underlying in those communities for fact checking if they just accept that everything is okay to be fake?
Well, I think that's basically now you're referring to the bad things I talked about earlier in my presentation. Yeah, fact checking I think, is the most important thing there is nowadays, because we have basically screwed up our democracy. We screwed up our consensus of reality. I even showed you the movie about one of the most famous politicians in the Netherlands, the promotion campaign I did, and it worries me a lot. Where is this world going to end if we keep on doing the same kind of things and we don't believe each other anymore? Even the 6th of January last year, that was the biggest attack on democracy we have experienced in Western society. So I think there's the most important role for the near future is in the hands of the journalists to distinguish facts from fiction. But it means that you have to be aware of all those things that are happening here. That's why I'm making the point that internet culture is bigger than anything. Memes, hashtags, be aware of it. As well.
I wanted to tag on to that because you've proven beyond any doubt that making something fake is child's play and you can do it in seconds.
Yes.
So trying to keep up with fake seems like a very daunting task. Isn't it rather about proving what's real? Or I don't know, like, how do you as news media work with that amount of fakery that will be out there?
Well, we have to talk with your media house, I guess. Well, I think people like me, people like you, people like Sophie, people like Agnes with her innovation lab, they become more and more important to be aware of all the things that are happening outside. And we should be having this discussion about media literacy more and more. Even our youngest, even our children, they should be educated about all these kind of things. But they have all teachers, so that's already a problem. And even government is lagging behind. The laws, they are lagging behind. So it's a huge task for the next couple of years. It might be one of the biggest tasks, besides the climate, besides the inflation, besides...
Thank you.
Other questions for Sander? Not, thanks a lot, Sander, for joining us.